What's up? We got Legends of Tomorrow, Season 1, Episode 6, Star City 2046. So this episode starts off where the last episode picks up with the Green Arrow saying, "Oh, you're horrifying legends." And then they're being attacked by this Green Arrow, and Nick's like, "Is this guy a friend of yours?" And he's like, that's not Oliver Queen. And yeah, that's not Oliver Queen. So yeah. So meanwhile, on the ship, there's a weird love triangle between Jefferson, Ray, and Kendra. Like Ray loves Kendra. Actually, he doesn't love Jefferson loves Kendra, but Ray didn't think of her as anything else until Martin decided to accidentally talk to Ray about how he felt about Kendra, which caused him to be in love with her. And since he and Jackson are merged, he can feel Martin's feeling of feeling guilty. Oh yeah, so he's like, "Oh great, he didn't." So yeah, so back at Star City 2040, back at Star City, I'm just gonna call it 2046 Star City because calling it Star City 2046 over and over and over again is just back in 2046 version of Star City. We see Mick, and now he takes control of a gang of people. So then Sarah's talking with the Green Arrow, and she's like, "Oliver Queen's the Green Arrow," and she's like, "No, Oliver Queen's dead." She's like, how did he die?" And she's like, and he's like, "Yeah, nobody knows. It started after the uprising." And she's like, uprising," and he's like, "Yeah, the uprising of when Deathstroke's gang took over the city." And she's like, "Deathstroke? There's only one Deathstroke." But then Deathstroke shows up, and she's like, "How'd you get off the island, Slade?" "How'd you get off Lian Slade?" And he's like, "Slade? I haven't heard that name in years." And takes off his mask to reveal not Slade, but Slade's son, Grant. And he's like, "How?" And he speaks in this Australian accent, saying, "How'd you know he's father?" or something. And she's like, and he's like, "We should go, Sarah." And she's like, Does that have anything to do to the late Captain Quentin Lance?" Okay, Quentin's dead in this. I know that they say it's a potential future. Quentin's alive in the current timeline, but in this future, he's dead. So, okay. So, anyway, yeah. So they take him down to the old lair where we see old Oliver Queen, still played by Stephen Amell, where one of his arms was taken off, and he's like, "Oliver," and he's like, "Hello, Sarah," and she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Where's Felicity? Where's everybody?" And he's like, Felicity left after the uprising," and he's like, "Take off the mask, John." And he's like, "John," and he's like, "John Diggle Jr." And he's like, "His name is Connor." And he's like, "John Diggle died, and he couldn't save him." Are you telling me that in this potential future, my boy John Diggle died? Okay, I'm not okay with this. No one hurts Diggle. No one. So I guess Felicity left, and I'm guessing Laurel left too, or is it R.I.P. Laurel? Because in the current timeline, Laurel's alive. So is Laurel dead in this potential future? Because I kind of like her, and they never mention anything about where Thea is. I'm guessing either Thea either left with Felicity, or Grant's uprising killed Thea as well. I'm just guessing that Grant's uprising killed Thea as well. So yeah. So Mick is like a king, and Mick is feeling like king, and he's like, hey, Sarah and Rip are in danger. We gotta go. And he's like, why? We have everything we've ever wanted in this city, in this future. And he's like, what about Van Savage? And he's like, what about him? And he's like, yeah. So he punches him out, and he's like, sorry about this, and punches him out. Yeah, he brings him along, and they're like, actually, he doesn't punch him out. He brings him along, and yeah, so they're like, Connor, he's been taken by Grant Wilson. So, yeah, so, yeah, so Ray tries to shoot his shot with Kendra, but Kendra's like, sorry, Ray, after everything, she doesn't have time for her boyfriend right now, and yeah. So then we see, is Felicity? I have a lot of questions. Felicity left. Felicity's still alive in this future. But where is everybody else? So yeah, so they're like, this is a, and he's like, we gotta stop Grant, and he's like, no, we don't. This is a potential future. In the real timeline, Connor and Grant, they're not real, Sarah. And she's like, this may be a potential future, but it's real to me. If you had to go back and save your kids, would you save your wife and son? Would you? And he's like, don't waver them in his face. Yeah, and yeah, so all Oliver mentioned is that. All Oliver mentions that you know that the whole reason why the uprising happened was because of Ray and Sarah leaving, so they couldn't be there. And he's like, if you would have stayed, maybe things would have been different. And she's like, you heard all, yeah. So she goes, and he's like, I'll give you 90 minutes to go save Connor, but then we're out of here with or without you on board. So yeah, so she tries to she's like, hey, Oliver, you're the Green Arrow still. And Oliver is like, yeah. And he gets a mechanical arm. So Stein gives this really good speech to Rip about how you brought them on board to stop Savage, and about how Sarah's their teammate and they don't give up on their teammate. So Sarah gets captured intentionally by Grant Wilson's men, and they're like, hey, she was trying to break in, and he's like, oh, that was sloppy. The League of Assassins would be disappointed. And he's like, you were trying to beat me? And she's like, no, I was trying to distract you. And that's when Oliver shows up with the hood and the mechanical arm and starts firing arrows again. And it's really cool. It's really weird that we're seeing an old version of Oliver Queen, but yeah. So they defeat Grant Wilson. I don't know if they kill him, but yeah. So Mick is locked up because and he's like, if you ever touch me again, I'll burn you. Michael Scofield / Leonard Snart. So yeah. So yeah. So anyway, yeah. So they decide to. So yeah. So he's like, hey, we saved you, John Diggle Jr. He's like, it's Connor Hawk. He's like, no, it's Green Arrow. So yeah. So they fly out of it. So they get everything back on track, and they fly out of there, and that's kind of how the episode ends. I really enjoyed this one. I know I usually I like all the Legends episodes so far. They've all been fantastic. It's really cool to see it was really cool to see a Star City version of Star City. Like, Oliver's an old man. There's Oliver and Diggle had a son. Lila and Diggle have an adoptive son. Or they have a son, because in the current timeline they have a daughter. So Don't know how they got a son. Don't know how. But yeah, so and I get they don't mention anything about Thea. They mentioned that Felicity left, but what about Thea? Did Thea leave with her? I don't remember Old Oliver saying anything about Thea. And why didn't Barry help in this timeline? If Barry could have if all Oliver says old Oliver says that it was there, that if they would have stayed they would have been able to help. But old Oliver could have just called 2046 Barry to help. Or am I forgetting that this? Oh right, this is Barry at this point. Barry's still missing, vanishes in crisis, so he couldn't have helped. But what am I saying? What am I? Let's remember. But he could have called any of the other future heroes at that point. But no, he just gave up, made people think he was dead, and let a wannabe put on his head. Wow, Oliver got. I get why. Felicity left, Quentin's dead, and Laurel's, I'm guessing, alive or dead, or Thea's alive or dead, and Diggle's dead. His brother in arm is dead. So I get why. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for more Legends of Tomorrow. Bam, 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 bam.